So here we go. So I really encourage everyone to kind of have a notepad and pen here for this one, not to be typing away on your computer. There is something that really happens. It's the first stage of processing anything is when you actually physically write it down. It really helps to sink it in. So I really encourage you to do that, guys. And like I say, anyone that's just arrived, if you want to pin me or switch to speaker mode, so you can see me large if you want to. You don't have to, it's entirely up to you. And I did warn a few people that I may be swearing on this. Now, that's not going to be massively intentional. I'm not going to go out of my way to drop every F-bomb that I possibly can think of. I just don't want to have to kind of second guess myself and worry as to whether something slips out or not, because it's really important that I'm authentic with you today and that I am myself. I'm here representing James Ashford, not representing Go Proposal. I'm doing this to help you guys as a friend, as a fellow business owner, as a father, as a husband, to help you out to move forward with where you are, to share every learning that I've got to help to move you forward. So this is James Ashford. I would dread to think like someone's just signed up for Go Proposal and think this is like a standard training session for Go Proposal, because you're going to be like, he's a psycho. What is this? So this is me helping you guys out. Now, I massively appreciate you giving up your time today. You're giving up your time for yourselves, guys. And what I always say about anything like this is that you're giving this up for you. You're here to benefit from this. So please turn everything else off so you get the maximum benefit from it. And it always reminds me of the story, if you ever heard it, of the two woodcutters. So two woodcutters are chopping down trees all day. And one of the guys keeps taking breaks throughout the day. And the other guy just goes hell for leather, chopping down trees all day. At the end of the day, the guy that kept taking breaks has got this massive pile of wood. And the guy that kept chopping has got this small pile of wood. And the guy with the small pile of wood goes over to the guy with the big pile of wood and says, hey, how on earth have you chopped more wood than me? You kept taking breaks throughout the day. I don't understand it. He said, I wasn't taking breaks. I was sharpening my axe. What we're doing here today, guys, is we're sharpening our axes. When you go out and invest time in yourself, whether it's reading a book, watching a video, taking some mentoring, signing up for some course or some program, you really need to see it that you're not taking time out of your day. You're there to sharpen your axe, that when you get back out, things are a little bit easier and you can move forward a little bit faster. So the reason we're here today, and Peter Watkins is on this call, and he's got something to be answerable for, I'm telling you. No, so Peter posted this week, I think it was this, or last week maybe now, last Thursday, he posted to say, I'm on the solo Go Proposal account, £60 a month, and I'm thinking about upgrading or looking at upgrading to the £120 a month. And but I don't do that many proposals. So why can't I just pay £10 extra for each proposal? Why should I make that big leap of £60? And it got my back up, right? So I'm sat there thinking, what are you talking about? It's 60 quid. Let's just go for it. Like if you make 20% profit, and it's £60 extra a month, if it enables you to generate £300 of additional revenue, Go Proposal is free for life. And not only that, you should be doing these renewals with your clients. It will free you up. You can bring in another team member to do it. And also you can reduce the risk. Like if you're not producing engagement letters every single year with your clients, I guarantee you will have some exposure to risk. So not only are you not charging them for everything that you're doing, but also if things can come back and bite you on the backside if you ever get caught out, if you ever done anything wrong, or the client wants to make a claim or anything like that. So we absolutely need to do it. It's the benefit to my mind is so outrageous versus the small cost. I couldn't understand it. Then I calmed down and I asked myself, where is the gift in this? And I called Peter and we had a good chat. We're friends. It's all cool. And what it made me realize is, what have we not done to help you? Where have we fallen short of helping you? And this took me on to the concept of scarcity thinking versus abundance thinking. And this is really important, because without this, if we don't cement this, then that £60 will always be a cost to you. And so what abundance thinking says is not, let's make as much money as we possibly can. What abundance thinking says is, there is enough of everything that I want out there. I am a capable human being of going and getting it. I deserve to get it, and I'm going to do whatever it takes until I get it. Now, that may be money, but it may also be time. It may be joy, fulfillment, love, connection, clients, improving your golf, whatever that may be, whatever it is that you want to go and get, you are capable of getting it, you deserve to get it, and you can get it. That is what abundance thinking says. And the real importance for you to make this switch is that if you are in scarcity mode and you are seeing everything as a cost, then I guarantee you will be projecting this onto your clients in so many subtle ways. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. We will project our thinking onto other people, and you don't realize how you do it. I'm not even sure how it works, but they will start to see you as you see them. Like if you know, you're married, you got a partner, wife, husband, whatever that may be, and all you see in them is everything that annoys you, I guarantee all they will see in you is everything that annoys them. If you start to see in them everything that you love about them, miraculously, they start seeing in you everything that you love about them, they love about you. And so if you want them to think about you in a certain way, the thing that you want, give it. That is always my advice. So I was speaking to someone earlier this week who came on the last session. We got talking about significance and feeling insignificant. And if you want significance, give other people significance. Make other people feel significant, and it will come back to you. If you want love, make other people feel loved, and it will come back to you. If you want your clients to see you as a fantastic investment that's going to help their business to move forward, you've got to start seeing the amazing investments around you. So we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. And you guys are capable of so much. My office here today, where I'm doing this from, is at Doncaster Airport, and I can see some huge planes out here, right? Human beings are incredible. They figured out how to bend metal and fly tons of it through the air. They've invented the electric light. We've invented electricity, the internet, laptops. To be able to speak like this for other parts of the world to each other is just incredible. So when I think, how could we add another £500 a month of additional revenue onto your firm, or £1,000 or £10,000? It's like, whatever it takes, we will do it. You're incredible people, and we can go and achieve this. So the other reason this is fiercely important, and why I really want to help you with this, is because of something called the Matthew Principle. The Matthew Principle is used in psychology. I think it stems from the Bible originally. And what it says is, to those who have everything, more will be given. And from those who have nothing, everything will be taken. To those who have everything, more will be given. And from those who have nothing, everything will be taken. And this seems really harsh, but let me explain what it means. What it means is that if you start to get worse, if you get less and less, the chance of you getting even less after that will increase. If your situation starts to get worse and you allow it to get worse, the chance of it getting even worse will increase as well. So the worse your situation gets, the more you will have taken from you. And the closer you get to the edge, the greater the chances of you going over the edge. And this is not a linear process. This actually goes exponentially down as things start to worsen in your situation. And if you just stand still, if you don't do anything, your situation will be getting worse. We have to actively move forward, okay? If we're not making things better, things will be getting worse. But it also says is that as you start to improve, as you start to move forward, the chance of you making another improvement increases. And as you make the next improvement, that increases as well. And again, this is not a linear growth. This is an exponential growth as we start to move forward. And sometimes the reason why we don't move forward is because you've not set the bar low enough, right? Now, this sounds crazy. You've got to set the bar low. You've got to be able to get the first win. What is that first win? Because once you've got that win, the chance of you getting the next win is greater. I'm looking at Sharon Gillespie here today. She's on my view, and she shared the fantastic story this week of going and doing her first fee review with an existing client after a long time. And she got a relatively small win, but that just fired her up to go and get the next win, which was bigger, and the next win, which was even bigger. And that was just in 3 proposals, just bang, bang, bang. And you've got to keep that momentum going and keep moving forward. So I've explained what abundance thinking is. I've explained what scarcity thinking is. And what I want to do is I want you to tune into it so that you can start to spot it in the world now. So let me give you a practical example of a scarcity view and an abundant view. So if I see someone in a nice car, I think, wow, well done for getting that nice car. You've clearly worked hard to bring that nice car into your life. And the fact that you've got a nice car proves that there is a chance that I can get a nice car as well. Okay. So it encourages me to go and get a nice car. If you're a scarcity thinker, you will look at that nice car and think, right, well, there's now one less nice car for me to get in the world. What luck have they managed to get that nice car? Because scarcity people don't take responsibility for themselves. They blame everyone else for their situation. And therefore, if they see somebody else doing well, they will effectively attribute that to an external force, normally luck. So the only way they've got that is through luck. So there's less luck for me to now get. There's less nice cars for me to get. 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, I got a nice car. I got a Jaguar I-Pace, really proud of it. I did not post it on socials, did not share it anywhere, because I know that most people are scarcity thinkers and it doesn't help. I had 5 close friends that I sent my picture of my car to, and all of those people were absolutely buzzing for me. In fact, 2 of them went and bought the same car not long after that, because of that abundant mindset thinking. It's really important that we surround ourselves with great thinkers. Now, my sister, I love her dearly, but she's a scarcity thinker, right? I'll give you a really silly example of this. If my mum bakes some apple crumbles and she does a good crumble and she brings them round to us and I'll post them, look, my mum's brought us this, I guarantee within half an hour, my sister will have rang my mum and said, where are crumbles? Why haven't you baked us any? Why haven't you dropped any off at us? She now thinks there are less crumbles in the world for us to get. I haven't spoke to her since Easter, but I guarantee she will have asked my mum how many Easter eggs our kids got bought. Guarantee it, because she wants to make sure that she's getting Easter eggs as well. Now, here's the thing, guys. I completely forgive my sister for her situation. My sister's had a rough hand dealt to her. My sister's my half sister. When she was a very young child, her father died in a car crash. Okay. My mum then went and remarried my dad. I've got two half sisters and a brother, and we were all brought up as brothers and sisters together. But she had a really tough start. When she got older, she got married herself and had 2 young children. Her husband died in a car crash when her children were babies. Not long after that, she developed multiple sclerosis, right? So she has had a really rough hand dealt to her. So I don't blame her for any scarcity thinking at all. And I love her dearly and I do what I can to help her. But here's the thing we need to be aware of, guys. It's our decisions, not our conditions, that determine our success. We've all had rough things happen to us. You may have had terrible things happen to you, and you know other people who have had bad things happen to them. And we can always blame our conditions if you've had a shit hand dealt to you, yeah? But it's always our decisions that will determine how we turn that into success. I know of people who have had horrific things happen to them, and they have chosen to see things in a different way. A choice that always exists for you guys is, am I going to use this and choose to be bitter, or am I going to choose to be better? That you don't get to choose what happens to you. Some shit happens to you, but the choice that always exists for you is, am I going to choose to be bitter, or am I going to choose to be better? So I think I've always inherently had abundant thinking and been fairly optimistic in life, and had a fairly good view. At school, I did really well. So straight A's in the things I like doing. A at maths, A stars at GCSEs, A at A levels. I went on to do a degree and a master's degree in product design. And the degree I got 93% for my degree. I got befriended one of the tutors afterwards, and he said, James, I need to confess, you actually got 100% for your degree. When we marked it, it was 100%, but we didn't know the implications of giving a student 100% because we've never given one before. We thought it'd like open an investigation or something. So we just dropped it down to 93% because we thought you'd be happy with that, and it would kind of keep them off our off our tail. So I'm like, well, that's fine. I was absolutely fine with that. So done really well, always done well throughout school. And then all of a sudden you dropped into the real world. And in your mind, or in my mind, I thought that things were going to continue like that. And they didn't. My first design project failed. I launched. A large company ripped off one of the designs that I'd worked on throughout university. I started to blame my university because they didn't give me the skills I need. They didn't protect me with what I needed to do with this design. A job appeared at the local prisons, a few prisons near here. So I started teaching art in prisons, which was an amazing learning experience. But after a while, it wasn't so great. But you know what? It paid the bills. And then a friend of mine said, because I used to be a magician. I think some of you know that. I used to be a close-up magician. A friend of mine said, why don't you move to London and live with a flat down there? You can come and stay in there and be a magician. That didn't pay the bills. And so things started to gradually spiral down. Then I started to blame people. I set up a business myself that I'd always wanted to. I blame clients that didn't pay us. I blame my accountant because he didn't give us the skills that I need, and I didn't get the insights that I needed. I blame my parents because of all the things that they didn't give me. I didn't have the right mindset. I didn't feel to achieve things. So I was blaming those guys. I was blaming my wife for not giving me the level of support I needed. My business was spiraling down. I blamed another business partner that I got involved with something. And I was just in a bad place. And this is the thing. When I was at university, I started smoking cannabis, and it was kind of a recreational thing that you do. And it's kind of a cool thing. Like one of the students, I was like in the art college. It was a weekend thing and it was fine. But as my situation started to get worse and my pain started to increase, that was my default thing to go to. That was my crutch that helped me with the pain. So rather than deal with the pain, rather than use that pain to grow, I went and numbed the pain and dulled it with what I was doing. Things carried on spiraling down. I split up with my wife as a result of it. I moved out. I lived in a flat on my own. My children were tiny things. I stopped seeing the joy in the world. When I was with my wife and my family, I didn't see the joy and the beauty of my family. I just wanted to get out and numb the pain of what I was doing. The business failed. I was in debt. I was in a bad situation. And a friend of mine reached out to me and he said, there's an event, a Tony Robbins event. Do you want to come to it? Now, I tried everything to stop smoking at that point. I tried hypnosis, I tried counseling, hypnotherapy, psychotherapy, read everything that I possibly could. But for whatever reason, I just couldn't make that breakthrough. So my friend paid for me to go to this Tony Robbins event, a lot of which I'm sharing with you today that I learned there. And he helped me to make the breakthrough. I knew that at that event, I was lifted off the path that I was on, and I was literally dropped on a new path to move forward. And I learned so many things on that, guys. And one of the things that I learned was that we all have ways of numbing pain, whether it's smoking, whether it's alcoholism, whether it's gambling, whether it's eating, whether it's sex with other people that you shouldn't be having sex with, like whatever it is that you do, there are ways that we numb the pain. We take antidepressants, we have fears, we have anxiety, we have addictions. And here's the thing that I learned, guys, whatever it is, at the bottom of all of that is one question that we ask ourselves. And it's that one question that will keep us in pain. Am I enough? If you're asking yourself, am I enough? That is what is at the root cause of all addiction, all pain, all anxiety, all depression, all overwhelm, is that question there. And you may not say it out loud, but in quiet moments, we ask ourselves in different ways, am I enough? And the moment you start to ask yourself, am I enough? This incredible person that you are, this amazing human being that you are, whose heart beats 100,000 times a day, who's got the most incredible computer ever, who's been given this amazing gift of this amazing body that can do so much. If you question your very being as to whether you're enough, the next easy step to then question is there enough? Because if I'm not enough, surely there isn't enough. And it's at that point that you are plunged into scarcity thinking, and you need something to slap you out of it to start you on the spiral up. And that's what I'm going to share with you today, was that journey. And what I learned at the event, guys, was that we have 4 prime needs that we all satisfy. We all must satisfy these 4 prime needs. And they are 4 needs. Certainty. There you go. The need for certainty. We all have a need for certainty in our lives. We need to know that we've got a roof over our head, that we've got money coming in, that we can eat. We need to know that our basic needs are met, and we all have a great need for certainty. The next one is the need for uncertainty. We need a need for variety. We need to mix things up a little bit. We need to have a little bit of excitement in our lives. And these 2 things are connected. They're in balance with each other. And dependent on who you are and what your makeup is, will determine what level of certainty versus uncertainty you will need. So you may need a great deal of certainty. And then if you just go on holiday every few weeks, then, you know, that brings you a little bit of uncertainty, or whatever that may be for you. Or you may need to go water rafting and parachuting every single day and bungee jumping with a minimal need for certainty. Whatever that makeup for you is yours. I'm not questioning that. No one can judge that, but I guarantee you are fulfilling both of those needs in some way. I would also like to suggest here, and you've got the chat box to answer this if you want to, is that I would suggest from the accountants that I have spoken with, that you perhaps have a greater need for certainty than uncertainty. And that is what has actually moved you into this profession, that you want certainty over numbers, certainty over accuracy. And that is why you do what you do. So I would suggest, and this is really important, as you'll see later on, that you have a natural proclivity towards certainty. The next one is the need for significance. We need to feel a sense of importance, that we are worth something, that we are good at what we do. And the final thing is the need for love and connection. We want to feel that we belong, that we have people who love us, that we are part of something, that we are part of a community, that we're part of an idea, that we actually mean something, and that we're connected to that. And here's the thing, guys, is we're all satisfying all of these all the time. Every single person on this call is satisfying all of these 4 needs. And here's the thing, you're either satisfying them in a positive way or you're satisfying them in a negative way. But I guarantee you're satisfying them. When I smoked, I satisfied all those 4 needs in a negative way. I was certain about the certain rituals I had to go through to be able to do it, the uncertainty as to how it was going to make me feel, the significance that I felt, look at me, how cool I am. 2 fingers up at the world. I can go and smoke when I want to, and I should be working. And the love and the connection with the people that I did it with and the ideas that it stood for. Okay. What then happens is if you then remove that thing, you then all of a sudden not satisfying those needs in a different way. You'll either go find something else or you'll revert back to it if you don't satisfy these 4 needs in a positive way. And if you don't satisfy them in a positive way, you can never move on to the final 2 needs where we get all of our joy and all of our fulfillment from. Anger is a really simple way to satisfy significance. Coming in, shouting at the kids, shouting at the dog, kicking the dog, that instantly makes you feel important. Instant significance. People who are naturally violent, who will go out fighting on a Saturday night when you could go out, they have a massive need for significance. They're not satisfied in a positive way. They will satisfy it in a negative way. People who are always talking about their problems and the issues they have, people who are always bringing drama to you, yeah, they or feeling massively insignificant will actually gain significance from how insignificant they are, or gain significance from their huge problems that they have. So these people, again, they lack significance, and that's how they're satisfying it. So it can be very subtle ways at how people are satisfying these needs. But it's the final 2 needs, guys, where we can get all of our juice and all of our love and all of our fulfillment from in life. And these 2 needs are the need for growth and the need for contribution. These are the 2 things that will give you all of your fulfillment. When I came through my journey, when I made the breakthrough, this is the world I started living in. I just started to grow. I grew in that session and I continued to grow. I think I'd read 2 books before that point in my life. I read a book a week since then. I'm constantly consuming things so I can learn, so I can become better. I'm constantly watching videos. I'm constantly seeking advice and mentorship from great people, always wanting to grow. And I give it back. I just share and I contribute everything that I've got. Someone once said to me, "Why are you being so selfish?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" "So you're not posting on socials, you're not doing videos." If you can possibly imagine that, guys, there was a time when I didn't used to do videos and post on social. And he said, "Why are you being so selfish?" He said, "There is someone out there today that needs to hear the words that you've got to say. There is someone, one person, desperate to hear it. So when I post stuff on social, I don't give a shit whether I get 10 likes or 1,000 likes. I just know that there's one person that has heard that thing today that could have made the difference, that could have made that breakthrough." So I just moved into a world of growth and contribution. I asked myself at the time, because I didn't know what I was going to do. My business had gone. If I couldn't get paid ever again, what would I do? And it was to help people in the same, who had been through the same situation as me. It was to help people to make that breakthrough. It was to help people to become more successful in their business and in their life. And that's just what I started doing. I started learning and I started helping the people around me. There was a guy that I knew in our office. He had a little local football practice. And I think he was making like 70 grand a month. And I just started helping him. I don't think even to this day I've ever been paid for anything I've ever done for them. I just started helping him because he was a good guy. He was a good soul and he needed to be put on the right track with things. He was making 70 grand a year. Within 18 months, he was making £750,000 a year. I helped him to shape up the franchisable model of his business and to launch a franchise. He's now got 50 franchises, absolutely rocked it throughout lockdown. I'm being mindful of what I'm saying here. I believe I help more people than who pay me to help them. I just constantly give it back and share because that is the path that I'm on, constant growth and contribution. This knowledge or what I've been given wasn't given to me to keep, it was given for me to pass on. And that's why I don't believe there's any value in knowledge. We just got to keep sharing it. Now, the thing that helped me through this journey, guys, or there was several things, but the people that I had around me. Now, there's 2 types of people that we have. There's 2 types of people that you have in your life. There's people who are for you, and this is very few. There are very few people who are genuinely for you, like regardless of like what you do. If you're a dickhead, they're still for you. I had a mate, John T, and he's always been for me. So even when I split with my wife, he knew what I was doing with drugs, whatever, he'd give me a clip round the ear. He'd like pull me up on it. He'd tell me what he thought, but he was still for me. He always loved me. It didn't matter. And if you can count the number of people who are for you on one hand, guys, you are doing absolutely amazing. But the majority of friends that we have, they're not actually for you. They're for what you are for. So the fact that I was a couple with my wife and I was married to her, they were for the fact that we were a couple so we could do coupley things together. And I had a family. But the moment I split up with my wife, they're no longer for me because I didn't have a wife anymore. So they just fell away. They couldn't understand what I was doing because they were never for me. They were for us as a couple. Or I had people that were working with me and working for me, and they weren't for me. They were for what we are for, that we were making money together. Or I had a business partner who I'd helped, who I gave the business back to at the time, a different business, never spoke to me since. Okay. That's because he was never for me. He was for what we were for, which was building this business that he wanted. And that's fine. I'm not judging him for that, but he wasn't for me. He was for what we were for. There is another type of person as well who are against what we're against. So I think I had this explained to me, like if there's a football, like you could support Man United and someone else could support Man City and you hate each other, but when England played Germany, we're against what we're against. We're all against Germany, so we're all in it together. But a more subtle way that this happens, guys, is when you have a problem, you have an issue, there'll be certain people that come out of the woodwork who are only ever for you to be against the thing you're against. So something's gone wrong, they'll come and console you and talk to you about your problem. But the moment things start to go good again, they get out your way, because they're not for you or for what you're for. They're against the thing that you're against, and they're not necessarily healthy people to have around. But my point is if we can just identify these people and make sure we have more of them, it's really important. Jonty was a teacher at my school, and I met him when I was in the sixth form. His nickname was Magic Jonty, and he knew a few magic tricks, and someone had told him that I was a magician. I've been a magician since I was a kid, and I've always been magical like, but I mean, I learned a few tricks. Anyway, so we started doing some tricks together, and he was the person that said to me, you should do this professionally. He landed me my first gig, and I think I got 50 quid for doing my first magic trick, my first magic show. And wherever I went in the world, whether I was at uni in Sheffield or living in London, he's the only person that has visited me everywhere. When I lived in France, he came and visited me there. Just a great soul, just a great energy. And he lived on our street when we were in the last house that we lived on. And because he was still at the school, my stepdaughter went to that school. He would drive her to school every day. So I used to get to see him all the time. It was great. One day he came back from school and he started having headaches and saying, oh, really struggled today, got these headaches. And I'm like, dude, just man up, get some paracetamol and get on with it. Like, you know, as you do with friends. And then one day he passed out at school and he was rushed to hospital, and they had to operate straight away because he had a double brain tumor. It was very aggressive. He didn't know he had it. They did everything they could to get it out. And he got home that night, and they said, his family said, we don't want any visitors. And I'm like, sod that, I'm coming round. So we went round and gave him as much love and, you know, talked to him, and just a great, great guy. But obviously deteriorated. There was no way back for him from how aggressive it was. And within 18 months, he died. And I was privileged enough to be invited to his funeral and to speak and to give the eulogy. And it was packed out with all the students and all the people that he'd impacted. And people were stood outside. There were TV screens outside and stuff. And one of the things I noted was that he maybe didn't change the world, but he changed people's worlds. He changed people's worlds one at a time. And the amount of people's worlds that he'd impacted was incredible. And through that, I've developed many friendships as well, genuine friendships with people who are for us and for them as well. But he just showed me that that's the level of friendship that you can give with no judgment, to be genuinely for people, to expect nothing in return, to be constantly growing, constantly contributing. He fully embodied that and really inspired me a lot in my journey. And this led me to a conclusion, guys, that's going to seem really bleak. And I do not mean this to be bleak at all. I say this to you with love, but it's this. You are going to die. And it's something that we avoid to think about. And it's the greatest thing we can be aware of. Like, I speak to so many firm owners, and they're so scared of putting their fees up. What if I go and put my fees up? What if my clients leave? What if we lose money? What if my business fails? I'm like, fuck that. You're going to die. Who gives a shit? That's simple stuff. At some point, you're going to fail. Your body's going to fail. Like, in the grand scheme of things, all that stuff is a piece of piss. Let's just go and do it. This is the thing that every single morning I'm aware of. 1 million people die every night. And I wake up in the morning, I'm like, that's not me. I'm above ground. The first thing I do when my feet hit the floor every single morning, I promise you, is I say, thank you. Thank you. I'm here again today. I've got another day to do everything I can to help people, to grow, to give love, to contribute, to be a force of positivity, a force of goodness in the people's lives that I encounter. I've been given another gift of this day. When I walk into my local shop in the morning, like at 7:30, I'm bounding in, and people look at you like, what's he on? Like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm above ground. Like, why are you not aware of this? Walking around like zombies. I'll tell you what does my head in. When you go to the supermarket and there's people who are so slow, just like pottering around, deciding what they're going to get. should we get this butter or should we get, and I'm like, guys, you're going to die and you're going to die relatively soon. Who gives a shit? Let's just get this stuff on and get out of the supermarket. I don't understand what people are thinking. There's so many great things that we can do. Now, there's a really good exercise that you can do. I'm not going to ask you to do this because it's a little bit bleak, but somebody said to me, the worst regret you can ever have is, imagine being on your deathbed with your family and loved ones around you, and in through the door walks the person that you could have been, the person you could have become. And they tell you all the things that they became that you failed to do. That's the greatest regret we can possibly have. And it's an actual useful exercise, is to actually think, what are the regrets that I don't want to have at the end of my days? We need to, it's a really useful exercise, because what happens is you start to think, I don't want that pain. And so sometimes you're not taking the action you need because you're not in enough pain now. So it's to associate a greater pain with the decisions that you're making now to help you to avoid that. That was one of the things that snapped me off my path. If you don't want to be as bleak as that, you can think, what about when you retire? So when you retire from doing what you're doing, what would you not want someone to say that you could have become and that you could achieve? Now, I'm going to get you to do this now, but I'm going to scale it back a little bit further just to soften it. It's a Saturday morning, isn't it? Don't want to get too heavy. And bear in mind, we've done all the heavy stuff now. I'm going to start to ramp us up after this. So this is the final little bit, and then we're going to start ramping up, guys. So I want you to picture this. 3 years' time, what are we in now? 2021, so it's going to be 2024. Who said few? Hetty. Yeah, we're good after this, Hetty. We're going to be ramping up. You're fine. We're going to be good. Okay, so 2024, write down the date on your papers, 2024. Write down how old you're going to be on that date. I'm not going to ask anyone to share this. Write down how old you're going to be. If there's any other life events that's happened at that point, a child going to secondary schools, child going to college, child starting school or something like that, it's useful to be mindful of what other things are going on in your life as well at that point. And I want you to imagine you've walked out your office and a car's pulled up, a nice car, the car you'd really want, right? A nice car's pulled up, windows wound down, and it's the person you could have been in 3 years' time. What would it break your heart for that person to say to you? So they're pulled up, Sharon, you could have been here. This is what, or Alison, Trey, this is what you could have been. This is what you could have done. What would you not want them to say? Is it, mate, you could have only been working 3 days a week if you'd cracked that? Did you know you could have been paying yourself 10 grand a month? Did you know that you could have taken every school holiday off with your kids if you'd wanted to? Like, what would it absolutely break your heart for that person to say in 3 years' time? So spend a minute or two on this, guys. What is the regret that you don't want to have in 3 years? It could be health related. It could be to do with friendships, personal relationships, family, children, wealth, your mental health. Okay, guys, once you got that down, the next thing I want you to think about is, what 3 limiting beliefs do you have now that could possibly lead to you having those regrets? So what are the 3 limiting beliefs that you currently have now that could possibly lead to you having those regrets? So it could be that I'm not qualified enough, I'm not skilled enough, we don't charge enough, the clients in my area will never pay me enough, my team don't listen to me, and why should they? Like, what are those limiting beliefs that you've got 3 of them that could possibly lead to you having those regrets? So Wes and Lena, I can see you in the chat here saying that you're not sure what to put, or you can't think of what to put, or you struggle with this type of visualization. Just go for one then. Just one regret. What would you not want the outcome to be? It could have been you didn't have to work 5 days a week. You could have been working 3 days a week. Could have been that. Okay, guys, once you've got down what your 3 limiting beliefs are, just one more minute on this, guys. What are some of the negative consequences that you've experienced so far? What are some of the negative consequences you've experienced so far as a result of those limiting beliefs? So, for example, if you put down, I believe one of my limiting beliefs is that clients in this area won't pay me, can't pay enough, and then the negative consequences of that would be that you are therefore struggling to pay your staff, or you're having to work 6 days a week rather than 5 days a week. If one of those things is, I don't believe I'm good enough, and therefore I don't feel I've not been able to charge enough for that, and therefore we've missed out on this family holiday this year, or my car's a piece of shit, or whatever. A couple of people have put down here, if I don't try, what happens if I fail? And fear of failing is my main one. Whenever anyone says to me fear of failing, and I get this with my team members as well, I'll ask them, what's your problem? What's going on? I'm scared of failing. My question I ask them is, who are you afraid of failing in front of? Who is it that you're afraid of failing in front of? Is it me? Is it your dad? Is it girlfriend? Like, what? Who are you actually afraid of failing in front of? Because once you can identify that, then you can go and have a conversation with that person and share your fears with that person, and nearly always they remove the fear for you. So it's always interesting to think, who are you actually afraid of failing in front of? And the other one is, what happens if I do fail? Sometimes that can be a useful scenario to play out. So my mate does this with me, who's done it with me in the past. So, okay, well, if I fail, then what? Then what? And then what? And you go through that line of questioning, and you always get to the same point, which is, I'll be all right. Like, whatever happens, it doesn't matter what I'll lose my business. Okay, then what? Well, I start, working again. I start working for someone else and start making some money, which will probably be more money than you're making now, right? Then what? Well, I'll build the confidence to start again. Then what? Like, there's whatever happens, you nearly always get to a point which is, I'm with my family, they still love me, we've still got a roof over our head, and things are okay. The sun's still shining. And so sometimes it's quite useful to do that. So well done, guys. Thank you for coming so far with this. I promise you we're going to start ramping up now. But if we don't get you're motivated. We're motivated by 2 things. We're either motivated by pleasure and achievement, or we're motivated by pain. And I guarantee it's hardwired into your brain. The greatest motivator you've all got is pain. And so if I said to you, I'm going to show you how to make an additional £1,000 a month, you'd be like, okay, that sounds exciting. But if I said, I'm going to show you how to not lose £100 a month, you'd be like, oh, quick, show me that one first. And it's like, makes no sense, right? But we're naturally focused on pain. It's hardwired in our brain. It's part of our reptilian brain that we want to avoid danger. We don't want to be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, right? So we'll naturally do everything we can to avoid pain, even if the pleasure should be the bigger motivator. And sometimes if you're not taking the action that you need to take now, it's because you haven't associated enough pain with it. And so by taking this forward and thinking, right, if I continue down this path, what will the pain be in 3 years' time? Or what will the pain be when I retire or when I die? Like, you take it as far forward as you want, because you need to get to a point on that journey where you feel the pain, where you associate so much pain with that, that you think, I can no longer continue with this behavior because there is no way I will ever want to get to there. We have to change our view so that it becomes a must for us to change this direction. So let me show you what we need to do to make a breakthrough, guys. There are 3 things that we need in place in order to make any breakthrough in our business and in our life. The first is the map. Also known as the strategy. We need a proven way from going where we are to where we want to be. The next is the mindset. Or another name for this is the story. So our mindset needs to align with the strategy, with the map, or we'll never move forward. We've got this voice in our head, and you're listening to me at 400 words a minute, but the voice in your head is talking to you at 1,200 words a minute. So you can be sat there with the map thinking, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that sounds good. And the voice in your head is going, we will never do that. That is something we will never do. And so we have to really switch that story out and switch that mindset out so that it aligns with the map that we want to move forward. The final one is the motivation. Or another word is the state of mind. If you have the right map to move forward and you have the mindset that aligns with that, but you're in a lousy state of mind, you won't move forward. So again, Sharon, sorry, I'm picking on you because I can see you and we've had some contact this week. But if Sharon knows how to make the breakthrough, and I know she's been working with us and a few other people in order to how to increase her fees, and over time, she's built the mindset in order to be able to do this, but she's just not in the right state of mind. It's not going to move forward. But then it just needs one thing, one spark to happen. She's like, screw this. This is happening and it's happening now because it must happen. And then whatever's happened, that's made the breakthrough for it to smash through it. And breakthroughs are instant events. Breakthroughs are when we say, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not putting up with this shit anymore. We are making this change and we're making it now. We're going to do whatever it takes until we get through. So we need the right motivation as well. Now, out of all of this, the strategy is the easiest part. It accounts for like 10 to 20% tops, the strategy. There's so many strategies out there. You can go and get them. We've got them. We've got them in my book. Sharon, you've been working with Amanda and Reza lately to help you to develop those strategies and to learn them. That's Reza Huda. Simon Chaplin is another great coach. There's Will Farnell. There's Mark Telford. There's Kieran Phelan helps people out. There's so many people who help people and have strategies and ideas and things to move you forward, that are willing to share their learnings that can move you forward on your journey. Strategies are easy to get. And let me tell you why strategies work. As you move forward in your business, when you first started, things will have gone well. You'd have got your first client, started serving them, everything will have been great. Then all of a sudden, you hit a plateau, bang, and you can't move forward. It could be that you need to get more clients, or you've had a client's not paid you, or you need to get your first member of staff, or you need to sack your first member of staff. Like, some shit's happened and you've hit this plateau. In my head, I call this a breaking point, because at this point, you've got a couple of options, which is to break away and say, screw that. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to go work for someone else, right? And that's fine if that's what you want to do. You can break down. And whilst that's not a great thing at all, if people do have breakdowns, that's when you have not listened to the warning signs. You have not listened to what's going on. You've not taken your body's been telling you. And at some point, it's built up so much, your body said, right, you're going to listen to me now, bang, and has broken and given you a breakdown so that you actually stop and listen to the messages it's been trying to give you for so long. So neither of those are great. By far the better thing to do is to break through. So whenever we hit a plateau, it's to think, I'm breaking through this. And I've come to learn them now. We call them in our business, we call them taps. So it's just a tap, just a tap on the shoulder. That's how it starts. So when you get to a plateau, it's a tap. And it taps, and it taps, and it gets louder. And then at some point, bang, it'll smack you around your head if you don't pay attention to the taps. So we try to get as good as we can when we're aware of the little taps. There's something quite not right here. There's something needs to happen. We hit a plateau, and we now know that we need new knowledge. Normally, we need something to help us to break through, to get to this point. Now, what most of you do, because you're intelligent, persistent people, is you say, I'm just going to figure it out. So you try this, you do all this, and eventually you'll find a way through, okay? And you probably did that in the early days, and that's fine. The problem is it takes time. It takes time to, for some reason, I'm like this when I go to B&Q. If I go to a DIY warehouse and I'm looking for something, I don't know why it's in me. I think it's a man thing, sorry to be sexist. I will not ask the people with the brightly colored luminous tops where that thing is. I would rather waste hours of my life scouring for that thing. Yeah, I'm just going to struggle to find it rather than go and say, excuse me, you seem to know what you're doing. You have this top that says, I'm happy to help, written on my back. Yeah. But rather than ask you where that thing is, I'm just going to struggle on like a dickhead. Yeah. So that's normally what I do there. But we do this in different areas of our life. What we want to do, oh, it's a woman thing too. Sorry for that, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa, for correcting me, making me a better person, helping me to grow. Thank you. It's far easier to ask the person who knows how to get you to where you want to be. It's the simplest way to make the breakthrough, is to go to someone and say, hey, look, you seem to be achieving the results that I want to achieve. Would you mind telling me how to go there in the quickest route? And some people will charge you for that. But so many people will just do it for free. The Go Proposal community is the most incredible community that we have. And people ask each other in there for help, and we'll get through it. We had it a couple of years ago. It was a really sad situation. We had a firm, actually, and they had a very close family member died that was very involved with the business. And he told me it. And with his permission, I said, would you mind if I share this? Or maybe I'll get you some help. People rang him up and helped him. One guy jumped in the car and drove to his firm and helped him for that week to move forward. There are so many great people. We'll do it in Go Proposal. If we've got a specific challenge, I had a challenge last year, and I just messaged Gary Turner from Zero and said, Gary, you're further ahead than us. I've got a challenge. Can you help me? And he's like, yeah, jump on a call. Jumped on a call, and he helped me with it, with what I needed to do to move forward. There are so many great coaches. We've got Joe Wood and we've got Zoe on this call who do some tremendous work with bookkeepers. They did a fantastic workshop for a full week, and they've got a great mentoring group that they help people to move through the challenges that they've been through, those hard fought lessons, because they've done this shit. They've had all these struggles. They figured it out. And now it's like saying, here you go. This is how you get from here to there without having to go through all of this. So the strategy is the easy part. The people where this entire conversation started was people who didn't want to upgrade their Go Proposal app. I'm going to be working with you for the next month. I'm going to show you the strategy to stick on another £300 a month onto your recurring revenue to cover the cost of the increase in Go Proposal for life. I'm going to show you the strategy. We're going to map it out. We're going to do it together. We're going to talk through it. It's going to be straightforward. But that's not the hard part, guys. The hard part, the big work, is mindset. It's the hardest thing. We've got all these voices in our head, all this bullshit going around our head all the time. And it's not your voice. It's not you. It's the voice of your teacher, or the voice of a parent, or the voice of the news that you've watched, or of a failure in the past, or of a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever. It's a voice chelping away in your head, constantly challenging you, giving you this story. If that person was in a car seat next to you and you were driving along, saying the shit to you that your mind says to you, you would pull over at the next set of lights and you would kick them out of the door and you wouldn't listen to them. But you have to listen to yourself saying this stuff all the time. And this is the thing. We're fantastic at telling ourselves stories. We tell ourselves stories all the time. We have a constant narrative going on in our head. And you know what? The story might be true. The story that we tell ourselves may well be true, and we tell it to ourselves to protect us. That's why we tell ourselves certain stories. But do you know what? The same story that you tell yourself is the same story that will imprison you. Again, I'm sorry to pick on Sharon, just seeing her there. So I'm just guessing here, but she did reveal some of this. But the story that she told herself for so long was, I can't review my clients' fees. Okay, I can't go and do any renewals with them and increase their fees because if I do, they will leave. Okay, so she's told herself this bullshit story. Sorry, Sharon. To protect herself because she don't want her clients to leave. Okay, but that same story has imprisoned her. She has then changed her story to use the word fear, and she has come up with an anagram of face everything and rise. She has changed the story to become an empowering story. And she said, I am going to make this change. I'm going to make this breakthrough for myself, for my family, and I'm going to do whatever it takes. And she's gone and done it. Incredible, amazing. I know she shared it with us, just those 3 little wins. I don't see them as little wins. I see them as a huge breakthrough. The reason why she was able to make that breakthrough was because she changed the story in her head to something that was so empowering. You see, the thing is, guys, nothing is happening to you. Everything is happening because of you. If you want to change your life, you've got to change your story. That's the thing we have to do. We have to get control of the story in our head, and we have to be mindful of the story that we're telling ourselves and be truthful about it and think, is this true? Or is this a bullshit story that I need to change? I've got a friend, I met him yesterday actually, and over lockdown, he's put on quite a lot of weight, or as we say up in Yorkshire, he's put on a lot of timber. Now, I'm not judging him. I still love him. There's more of him to love, right? But he's put on quite a bit of weight. I don't think I asked him directly why he'd put on weight. It was implied, but he got talking about it. And he said, oh, the reason why I've put on a lot of weight is because the gyms have been shut. And I'm like, really? I didn't say this, but in my head, I'm thinking, it's nothing to do with all the food you've been stuffing in your face and all the drink you've been doing and all the walks you've been going on. It's because the gyms are shut, is it? That's what I was thinking. But this is a story that he's told himself to protect himself. But that same story is imprisoning himself as well. When I worked in prisons, I worked in the isolation wing sometimes. There were people in there locked in cells with only like able to go out for a walk for 20 minutes a day or whatever they got. And they were ripped. They were shredded because they had used their situation. They told themselves a different story and they'd got fit through that. A few years ago, we got broken into in our house. My wife works in was working at the time in a secure psychiatric hospital on a night shift. And I was at home with the kids and gone to sleep. Heard a noise downstairs, thought it was Becky coming home. So I just shouted down, is that you, Becky? And it wasn't. So I just assumed it was a dog or something like that. Went back to bed. 5 minutes later, I've heard my Land Rover being started on the drive. So I've opened my curtains, seen 4 guys in my Land Rover, banged on the window, like that's going to do anything. And it was snowing outside. It was completely white over. They got out the Land Rover and they legged it up the street. Okay. So I ran straight downstairs. And as I got downstairs, the floor was wet. The carpet was wet. And I realized they'd been in the house. I thought my initial thought was that I didn't realize in the house they'd just got the car. They'd clearly been in the house. My next thought was kids. Ran straight back upstairs, turned the light on. The fuse board in our house was dodgy, right? So I turned the light on. It tripped the fuse and sent the entire house into darkness. So now I'm absolutely bricking it with the kids in the house, in the darkness, not knowing whether there's anyone else in the house or not. Called the police and police eventually came, went and had a look round. And the story that I was telling people was, Can't believe they broke in. Imagine what they could have done. Imagine if they'd have got hold of me or my kids. Imagine what could have happened, right? And so it wasn't just the situation that happened. I was playing out what could have happened, like all the bad things that could have possibly happened as well, not just what did happen. Because they took the house keys. Imagine if they came back and stole everything else from the house. They took the iPad, they took the camera, and they had all the family photos on and all. And I was telling everyone this story and breathing life into this story, getting up, feeling significance for my problem, right? And then I snapped myself out of it. I'm like, James, what are you doing? What are you doing with this? Let's just stop a second and have a look at what happened, which was nothing. Yeah, they didn't take the car. We replaced the locks. The reason why they broke in was because the conservatory lock was dodgy and I hadn't put a side gate on. So it's entirely my fault. No one harmed the kids. No one harmed me. And if they'd have come up the stairs, I'm a second dan black belt in Goshen Kai. I'd have just destroyed everyone anyway because I'm super strong, right? We got the claim for the things back on the insurance and all the photos were backed up to the cloud. So I'm not going to talk about this anymore. So I changed my story. And I say this to my kids. I say to people, I say this to my kids, stop telling people about your problems because no one cares. Half the people you tell don't care and the other half are glad you've got the problems. So don't tell them. And the only people who care about your problems are your other loser mates. So stop talking about your problems. Breathe. There we go. So it's really important that we get a check of ourselves. And I know that you guys do it. You'll tell yourself stories about your clients and how bad they're being to you and the fact they don't respect you, they don't appreciate you, they don't value you, they ring you up at any time, they don't pay you enough. But if we trace this back, the likelihood is that you've caused that because you either took the client on in the first place, you didn't charge them enough, or when you realized they're a pain in the ass, you chose to keep them. It's entirely on you. You've got a member of staff, they're doing your head in, okay? But you've not had the frank conversation, which is, if you do that again, or if you continue doing this, I'm going to sack you. And if you have had that conversation, you've then not sacked them. You employed that person. You brought them on in the first place. You realize they're a complete douche and you haven't got rid of them. It's entirely on you. You're creating all of this for yourself, but you've created this story to protect and imprison rather than to empower. An empowering story is, I'm capable of, again, Sharon's story, sorry here, Sharon, again, this is what Sharon shared. If I lose clients, I am capable of bringing on more clients. I will attract better clients into my business. I have learned how to do this. So she has got a great empowering story now, okay? So at the start of all of this that we did today, I asked you to write down your story as to why you're not further ahead than where you are. Could you just pull up the story and have a look, just flick back to it, guys? Have a quick look at the story you wrote down for yourselves. Is that a story to protect you? Is it an imprisoning story? Or is it an empowering story? Is it a story that's blaming other people? Or is it a story that Paul's put there, my story is now bullshit? Brilliant, Paul. That's great awareness. I'm glad we've been able to help you to have that today. That's fantastic. So do you want to call bullshit on your own story? Or is it an empowering one? Or could you change it? Your story blames you. That's good, Lisa. That's good awareness. We're going to be changing your story shortly as well, guys. So I don't want you to stress too much about your story. The final thing we're going to move on to in this section is your state of mind or your motivation. There are a few things that we can do to change our state of mind and change our motivation. The first thing, and I've already alluded to this, is be very careful of the people that you have in your life. There are, as I say this to my kids, there are 7 billion people on the planet. Get rid of some of them and find better people. And I'm not saying that to be harsh. I'm saying it because it's true. And if you can't get rid of them because it's your mum or whatever, then you just need to learn to manage those people. So I love my mum dearly. Sometimes she can slip into a negative mindset when she comes round. But I know that if I make her a coffee and have a game of dominoes with her, or I play table tennis, but she never played table tennis with her. She turned out she's a natural, right? I played table tennis with her the other week when she came round. I can stop her indulging in her stories, and I can get her being really positive and playful and fun. So with the interactions that you have to have, I do love having them with my mum, but I manage them. So I manage those situations. But if you have this, if you have people that are just a force of negativity, remove them from your life. Okay. Go and find some better people to be around. Now you can do this in a couple of ways. You can like kind of phase them out, say you're busy or whatever. My preference is to ring them up and to explain to them that this will be the last time I ever speak to them, and I will never be speaking to them again after this phone call. Now piss off. I don't want there to be any doubt. I don't want there to be any confusion in people's minds as to whether I'm busy or ignoring them, whatever. No, it's because you're a dick. Now do one. So I don't have an issue with doing that because I believe I'm a good person. I'm helpful with other people. And so we've got to develop ways to manage that world and to bring in good people in my life. I said to my son the other day, my son plays on the Xbox and he plays Fortnite. And there's a kid who's just, for whatever reason, just always on at him and really negative and not nice and not a good energy and saying unkind things. So I'm like, dude, just block him. Like, Xbox is easy. Like, block. It's done. And then what happened is this kid then started saying things to my son's friends about Leo, saying, oh, he's this, he's that, he's this. And what I said to Leo, I said, come here, Leo, let me have a chat with you. The bad person that you've now got rid of was trying to control you. That's why he was saying the things he was saying to you. He's trying to control you. When people realize they can no longer control you, they will try to control what other people think of you. That's their next line of attack. They will try to control what other people think of you. When they realize that doesn't work, they're gone. You've diminished their power. So I'm sat talking to a 10-year-old boy about this, and he understands this. I'm fortunate that I'm able to share these lessons with my son because they've been hard-fought lessons for me. Be very mindful of the people you have around you, especially the people you have around you continually. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's good doing a little audit. Who are the 5 people you're spending the most time with? Be really mindful of that. Someone put their husband. Yeah, if it's your husband, you need to have a chat with them. So either, bring them on board or again, move on. Yeah, cut them loose, crack on, find someone else. Yeah. Anyway, the next one is inputs. So we've got other inputs into your life. So one big thing I'm a huge advocate of, and I want to see people in the chat here, I don't listen to the news. Can people just say, do you listen to the news? Is it the first thing you put on when you wake up? Is it the last thing you watch when you go to bed? Do you buy papers? Nope, that's good. No way. No, never listen to the news. I'm going to get a yes somewhere. No, rarely. Ooh, when I want to be depressed. Sometimes TV, but no papers. This is great, guys. Really good. Yes, there we go. Got my first yes. Yeah, can't bear the news. Okay, so what the news companies know is that the only way you will give them attention is if they're talking about negative things. They're tapping into the fact that you want to avoid pain. So the only way they can gather your attention is if they talk about painful things. My dad, who's not the most positive person in the world, he's a wonderful guy. All my family's wonderful, right? But he's just not the most positive person in the world. And he knows that. But he reads the Daily Mail. He shouldn't be allowed to read the Daily Mail. Like, if it's sunny weather, the Daily Mail headline will be, sunny weather coming, skin cancer set to rise. Right? It's horrendous. He shouldn't be allowed to read that, but it attracts people's attention. The whole COVID thing, the newspapers are loving that. They are absolutely dining out on that. That has kept newspaper companies and the news channels afloat. Loads of them would have gone. Journalists would have lost their jobs if it hadn't been for this. They're loving it. I don't consume it. I don't watch it. I don't buy into that shit. So while everyone's thinking doom and gloom, there's no money out there. We're in everything's going to rack and ruin. It's terrible. I don't buy into that. I'm not going to believe it. I know there are some people that are struggling legitimately, but things are not as bad as we think they are. There is money in the world. Amazon has gone in this time to $1.4 billion a day. Jeff Bezos has gone from being the richest man in the world to being the richest man in the world. They're making a fortune. The DPD lorry and delivery van is up our street every single day. They might as well have a key to our house the amount of time they come round. There is enough money out there. Every one of your clients has an iPhone. Their kids have iPhones, huge TVs on the wall, nice cars. You cannot listen to the news and consume the bullshit that they want you to believe, because it will just completely taint your view of the world. Go and consume better information. My kids have never heard the news. They don't know what it is. They don't listen to. I won't allow such negativity and horrendous stories to be pumped into their brain on the way to school in the car. The news gets switched straight off. I make sure I'm a positive force for them, and you need to be really mindful and, again, do an audit of what's coming into your life. The final thing, and I know that I can certainly do better at this one, is our habits. We need to be very mindful of the habits we have, because it's the habits that lead to the results that we get. So in a morning, if you wake up in a morning and the first thing you're doing is checking your mobile phone for emails, I know that habit is not going to be a useful thing, because I know that somewhere in that email list, some shit's hit the fan somewhere, right? So I know that's not a good habit to have. Tracy's pulling a slight face there that implies that Tracy does check her emails first thing in the morning. Okay. But if you wake up and have a stretch in the morning, if you wake up and go for a walk, if you have a habit of doing 15 minutes of exercise at some point in the day, whether that's a walk or a run or whatever, I know that's going to lead to positive things. And so we need to be very aware, very aware of what we're doing on a daily basis, of what we're doing frequently. Again, I don't claim to be an expert at this. I have people who help me with this from a fitness point of view, from an eating point of view, to help to keep me on track, because I know where I drift off with things. So I've got people working with me to help me with that. There's a really good book that Jack, one of our guys at GoPose, is reading at the moment called Atomic Habits. And he's got the rest of the team reading it. I've got it on Audible. It's going to be my next book that I read. We do that all the time. Every one of my team members is constantly growing. I give them a space to grow, a space to contribute. So just wonderful, wonderful people. Everyone has an Audible account in Go Proposal. Everyone has gym membership, so I'm helping them to grow physically, helping them to grow mentally as well. And what they'll very often do is get a book and share that with the team, and they'll do like book clubs and share their learnings from it. So I know that Atomic Habits, if anyone's read that, has been a really good book that people have been talking to about recently. So yeah, that's really cool. So state of mind is something that you need to be very aware of. You need to guard it. You need to protect it with your life, because I promise you, your life does depend on it. And it starts with what you do in that first half an hour of a day. So just make sure that what you're doing is really positive. I did share something in the community this week about the fact that, you know, we all slip into bad states of mind. Anything can happen in a day that can piss you off or upset you. But I don't have bad days. I'll have bad parts of days. But then I learn to snap myself out of it. So I'll go and write down what I'm grateful for. A gratitude list is an amazing thing to do. You can't be pissed off and upset and miserable and depressed and grateful at the same time. Your brain will not allow those two things to happen. So if I'm feeling that way, I will go and write down what I'm grateful for, or I'll sit and think what I'm grateful for. I had a bit of a wobble last year at some point. So straight away, write 100 things down that I'm grateful for. It's a really good thing. Get moving, move your body, 10-star jumps, go and watch a motivational video, help somebody else, go learn something. Like I shared it in the community, but things that you can snap yourself out of it. Never go to bed in a lousy state of mind. Never say that this is, you know, when I see people, you meet people, you have a chat with them. How you doing? Not bad. What's up? Having a bad day. It's only 11 o'clock in the morning. Why is it a bad day? You've had a bad morning. Sort this shit out. Let's turn it around. Come on. What are you going to do to make it an amazing day? What are you going to do to flip this round? Like, we've got to ask ourselves a better question. I'm going to calm my language now down, Sharon, because you've got a child in the room. So I'm going to remove all swearing from you. Okay. So guys, we need we need the right map, we need the right mindset, and we need the right state of mind in order to move forward. And motivation is the thing that's going to move us forward. And motivation is from the Latin motivus, which just means to move. Sometimes one of the greatest things that we can do, guys, in order to get motivated is just to move, is just to take that first step, whatever that may be. Like sometimes if people don't want to take the big step, and that's when I say to people, maybe you're not setting the bar low enough. Tidy your desk, empty your inbox in your emails, tidy your office, clean up, cut the grass. Like, it's just, I just need you to do something to get a win. And once you've done that, once you've emptied your inbox, you may then feel compelled to send the email that you need to send. But we just need to start with a win. But ultimately, we've got to move. And there's only one force in your business, guys, that makes you move. It's the one power that creates momentum. Decisions. It's the decisions that you make that move you forward. Sometimes people spend so long making a decision because they don't want to make the wrong decision that they end up making no decision, okay? Or what they do is they spend 6 months making a decision, and then they're so invested in that decision that they daren't change their mind again. The ultimate thing you need to know, guys, is you can always decide again. You can always make another decision. Going back to the airplanes here flying to the other side of the world, they don't make one decision. The pilot doesn't set the course for, wherever he's going to America and put his foot on the gas and go. The first decision he makes is to get on the runway. The next decision he makes or she makes is to head off into the wind. They go into the headwind. They go into the thing that's against them to start with to get them off the ground. They use the majority of the fuel just to get off the ground. And they're not going in the right direction. They've just got to get up in the air. Then they'll make a decision to then head towards where they need to be heading towards. But they will make thousands of incremental decisions along the way. Because of other planes in the sky, because of countries they can't fly over, because of wind, because of whatever, thousands of incremental decisions. But it all starts with, let's just get off the ground. Let's just get on the runway. Let's get in the plane. Like some of you guys are thinking about all the decisions you could and should make in the future, but you're not just making the first decision right now. Let's just make that one. Then we'll figure out the next and the next and the next and the next. We've got to just start, and we'll fix it as we go. A huge learning that I took is that you're always making 3 decisions. We are always making 3 decisions, guys. Whatever is going on. The first one is, what should I focus on? The next one is, what does it mean? And the third is, what am I going to do about it? Those 3 decisions are always going on, whatever crap is happening in the world. When I said it's your decisions, not your conditions, that determine your success, these 3 decisions are always at play. Guys, you need to know this. Whatever you focus on, you're going to get more of it. Like I said to start with, if you focus on how your significant other is always a pain in the backside and everything they do is irritating and to hold you back, then every single thing that they do will do more of that, will irritate you, even to the point of them breathing, right? Every single thing about them. But if you see what you love about them, what's great about them, you'll see more of that. The more you focus on something, the more you're going to get of it. If you focus on all the bad clients you've got, you'll see all your clients as bad. If you see that these clients never get back to you on calls, never complete the tax returns on time, guess what? You're going to get more of that. So I want you to all to do me this favor now, guys. I want you to all shut your eyes. Or shut your eyes. When you open your eyes, I want you to look around the room and I want you to spot everything that's red. Go. Okay, so you got a handful of stuff, right, that you've seen that's red. Now, you were so committed to this project to focus on what's red that you saw shit that wasn't red and you made it red. You saw stuff that was brownie red, but because you wanted to succeed, you said in your head that was red or burgundy or pink. We'll call that red, yeah? It's exactly the same when you focus on problems. You've got problems with your clients. Because you're only tuned into that, how your clients don't value you, how they never pay you enough, you will see that in areas where they're not doing that because you're only tuned into that. You're looking at the world through that lens. The moment you switch it and to say, where are the opportunities? Let me focus on the great things. Let me focus on where I can serve people. That's what's going to help you out. So increasing your Go Proposal app, for example, whether that's moving from your solo plan to a standard plan or adding more users on or whatever, are you focusing on whether that's a cost or are you focusing on that's an investment? Are you focusing on what that's going to prevent you from being able to do because you're spending 60 quid on that? Or are you focusing on what it's going to enable you to do because you've now can produce as many proposals and renewals as you want? That's always within your control, what you focus on. And this is the thing that's going to determine the quality of your life when it comes to your focus. Are you focusing on things that you can control or things that you can't? Are you focusing on things that you have, or are you focusing on what's missing? Are you focusing on the present, maybe the future as well, if you focus on it in a positive way, or are you focusing on the past? I'm going to put the future in both of those because depending on how you look at the future, you can see that as a positive thing or as a really bad thing. So if you are focusing on what you can control, what you have, and what you have right now in the present, that is what's the thing that's going to move forward and determine the quality of your life. If you are focusing on things that you can't control, things that are missing, and the past, all the mistakes you've made, the things you should have done, all the problems you've ever had and you're ever going to have, then that is going to keep you stuck and keep you in pain. I want to give you a really personal example of this that affected me last year. So February, we started to hear about COVID. March properly hit and smacked everyone in the face. At Go Proposal, we didn't know what this was going to mean for us. No one knew what it was going to mean. So we started to do some scenario planning, plan for the worst. What if we was to lose 25% of our business, 50% of our business? What does that look like? And we played those scenarios out and we held our breath and we did what we could. And a month later, we're not losing any clients. So we're thinking, oh, this is okay. Paul's saying, go and check Stripe. They must be just cancelling in Stripe somewhere. They've not informed you. And I'm like, no one's cancelling. I think we're going to be okay. And then March, April, we got through April and we started to get people signing up. So we were doing well. I'm thinking, I think we're going to be okay with this. So we held our breath a little bit. We remained relevant. We retracted a lot of our marketing. So we wasn't as aggressive with our marketing. We switched it up. We remained relevant. We helped you guys out. We were about to launch the academy and we were going to charge for it. And we just decided to give it away for free. There were additional things that we did to support you and we were good. So everything was good. So I think we got through this. May, I got an email. I think it was from Ross Murray in Scotland. He said, have you seen this? I said, what is it? I opened it up. And it was an email from the ACCA who had announced that they were no longer providing engagement letters to their members. If you wanted them, you had to get them from Practice Ignition. And I read them and I was like, shit. Like 25% of our members in the UK with the ACCA, we need those engagement letters to be copy and pasted into the system for Go Proposal to work. What if we was to lose 25% of our members? What if we can now no longer appeal to ACCA members because they're not going to want to come to us because they have to go to Practice Ignition? Bastards, what a great idea. I wish I'd come up with that. So instantly I moved into this. My mindset moved into here. So now I can't control this. I'm focusing on what's missing and what I perhaps should have done. But now I've gone into the future and I've started to think, what if they do it with every professional body? And then is it even legal? Is this like, it feels anti-competitive? I know people that are connected to Practice Ignition and to the ACCA. Surely there's something not right here. Should I start to, launch some investigation? Should I sue? Should I what, right? And my head started spiraling down. Then I stopped myself and I asked myself the question, where is the gift? I moved back to the present. Another name for the present is gift. And I asked myself, where is the gift in this? This was all within the same day, by the way. And I started to smile. I don't know where this smile came from. I just started to smile. Where is the gift? Didn't find one. Woke up the next day where I just kept asking myself, where is the gift? And my brain kept coming back saying, there isn't a gift, you dickhead. This is terrible. And I'm like, okay, where is the gift? If I had to find the gift, what could the gift be? And I thought, well, you know what? It's always quite a challenge for people to copy and paste their engagement letters into our system. What if we had our own engagement letters that were in there from the start? Okay. So I contacted another major professional body and I said, could we use your engagement letters and white label them? And they were like, no. Okay, not a problem. So I looked up who are the best law firms in the UK that deal with professional services. Could I commission you to create our own engagement letters? And I got on the phone with some really senior people. Within 24 hours, I just battered the doors down. And he says, it's not a law firm you need a consultancy, because you need someone who understands the professional and legislative landscape. You need to understand professional bodies, and they need to be constantly checking what's going on. It's a consultancy. I didn't even know what these existed. Where do I find one of these? So I went onto the ACCA's website and I found some little letters and some little words, and it said, we used VS Consultancy to create our engagement letters. So I found out who she was, and VS stood for Val Stewart. I messaged her and I said, did you create all the engagement letters for ACCA? She said, yeah. I said, are you still doing them now? She said, no. I said, could you create them for us? And she went, yeah, on one condition. You let me do my very best work. She says, I've done this for years and I've always had some restriction imposed upon me because people haven't wanted to invest enough money into it, or it's got to look in a certain way or whatever. If you get out my way and let me do my very best work, I'll bring some other people on this and we can do something really exciting here. And I'm like, game on, here we go. So my original brief to her was, let's create a replacement engagement letters for our members. And when we got into it, what I realized was engagement letters, templates, are not a good starting point in the first place, because what it says is, right, there's the engagement letters. You figure out what to do with them. You figure out how to change the templates, and you're not necessarily experts in this unless you've got a large department, right? So anyway, we started to think, you need Val in your firm. So how could I build Val's knowledge into your company? And then we met other people who were experts in other areas. Karen Eckstein, who's an expert in liability caps and risk management in firms as well. How could we build all their intelligence into the system? And how could we keep it updated so that when a change happens in Brexit or a professional body makes a change, that we can adapt it automatically? So it's like you've got your own department, your own compliance and risk department, which a small firm can never afford. So we developed this product. We called it Oversuite. We launched it and it just went kaboom. Penny Rowden's on this call. Penny Rowden when we launched it, I said to myself, if we can get Penny to get this, we've cracked it. Because Penny is with the ICAW, who have very stringent engagement letters, a huge advocate for it, and has really helped to drive the improvements in GoProposal around engagement letters to fulfill her stringent requirements for how engagement letters should run. So I said, if we can win Penny over, that's the deal. We won Penny over. Oversuite is now a fantastic product. I believe it's the most comprehensive engagement letter product on the market, to the extent now where a major professional body has come to us and says, could we use your engagement letters for our members? And I'm like, interesting. Let's have a chat about that. And it's constantly evolving. We're just on our big first quarterly review, and it's become a big revenue stream for GoProposal in its own right now. It's changed GoProposal. GoProposal was one product, pricing and proposal software. Now, GoProposal has an engagement letter product as well. We've become a product ecosystem. People have loved it. We're now thinking, what else can we do as well? So we're now launching the next product. Not only that, we're now, as of this week, developing Oversuite as a standalone product, just in Word document form, for people who are not with us yet. So I can now start marketing to Practice Ignition members who have never been able to market before, and say, hey, stay with Practice Ignition if you want, but why don't you buy our engagement letters? Because they're the best on the market. So now I can start to move people over. It's the opportunity, the revenue it's generated for us is massive, all because I focused on something different, guys. It wasn't the conditions that I was faced with. It was my decisions. I focused on the things I could control, the things I had, the present. If I'd focused on all those other things, I could have sunk a load of money and time and energy into it. and lost clients, you know, and been in a really bad place. But I switched my focus that was within my control to create something to the point where I think I actually drafted this. I drafted a thank you letter to Practice Ignition, and I was going to thank them for the how they've helped us to grow. But I binned it in the end, but it was made me smile when I wrote it. But anyway, but my point is whatever you decide to focus on, you're going to get more of that. So guys, when we started this, I talked about the very disempowering question that we can focus on, which is, am I enough? And I asked you to write down what were some of those limiting beliefs that were connected to that before. If you focus on that, it's going to keep you stuck, but you can change the focus so easily with one word, which is this. How am I enough? That's the empowering question. That's when we start to turn this around. So guys, in your books, you wrote down 3 limiting beliefs that if you continue to believe those will hold you back. I want you to find those limiting beliefs and I want you to put a line through each one of them. I want you to still be able to read them. I just want you to put one line through each of those limiting beliefs. I now want you to write 3 empowering beliefs as to how you are enough. What are 3 empowering beliefs that you have about yourself? You can't make these up. They have to be genuine, but beliefs about yourself that are going to propel you and move you forward. How are you enough? So this could be, we care, or I care so much, I will do whatever it takes to serve our clients and help them out. I have got enough knowledge and ability to adapt my knowledge to be able to serve our clients. What is it? How are you enough? What are those 3 empowering beliefs that are going to help you to drive forward? I am is a very powerful thing. Whenever you say the word I am, you must be very, very guarded as to what comes next. So it needs to be positive because you will believe that. You will believe what you say when you say I am. Okay, so that's your focus, guys. That's what I want to become your focus. I want you to write that out. I want you to pin that up because that's your empowering beliefs. That's your new belief system that we want you to have here. Now, the next part is, what am I going to focus on? What does it mean? The meaning you give to something will determine your emotion. Your level of emotion about something. When I wash pots in our house, if I have to wash, you know, we've got a dishwasher, but if you have to wash the pots, I've had jobs where I've washed many, many pots in the past. All my first jobs ever did were pot washing. One of my first jobs was in a pub, and the landlord said, legally, you're allowed breaks, but if you take them, you won't be working here for long. My first shift was 13.5 hours of straight pot washing, no break, no food. I got given a bowl of beef at the end of it, and I ate it like an animal. Okay, me and Pat wash pots all day, so I don't have an issue washing pots. If I wash pots in my house, this is genuinely the story I have in my head as I wash them, which is I'm preparing these pots so I can feed my family with the next meal. I've got a beautiful house, a lovely kitchen, hot running water, and I'm getting these pots ready so I can make my son a cup of tea, so I can make my wife a cup of tea. That's my narrative. The story my wife and my stepdaughter have when they're washing pots is, why have I got to do this? These pots are mithering me. These pots are doing my head in. Why hasn't anyone emptied the dishwasher? They've got a very different story going on in their head. I try to offer some support at that point when they're saying that, which is the pots aren't annoying you. You're choosing to be annoyed by the pots, okay? They don't find that very helpful, at which point they tend to say, now you're annoying me. And I say, I'm not annoying you. You are choosing to be annoyed by the words I say. And then they tend to throw stuff or use quite foul language I wouldn't even repeat today. But my point is the story that you've got going in your head is the meaning that you give to something, which is going to change your emotion about it. I've got to do it anyway. So why don't I have a good emotion? If I ever drop anything, break anything, spill something, the first thing I do is laugh. Drop it. I just laugh. So I think I've got to clean it up. So I might as well clean it up while I'm laughing, or I'm going to clean it up while I'm pissed off. Either way, I'm cleaning it up. So I'm very careful of my meaning. I'm going to unmute everyone now, guys, and then I'm going to mute you all again. I just want you to unmute yourselves. 1 second. Let me see if I can do this. How do I do this? Participants. Ask all to unmute. All just unmute yourselves just for what you do this for 60 seconds. Oh, some noises here.
Appreciate us.
Okay.
I regret this.
I'm not. I want you all to make a noise, and it's the noise when you got your first client. So imagine this: you've just started your business. Your first client has signed up with you. They're going to give you some cash. They set your business off. What was that feeling? What was that noise that you made? Let's hear you all now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Love it. Okay. That same client that you've still got, who is now the same client then, they're still paying you the same fee as probably when you first signed them up, but now they want more of your time. When they email you in or ring you, how do you feel when you now see that? A very different noise. Okay, let me mute you all. So nothing's changed. It's the same client. It's the same client that you got through the door in the first place that you attributed a meaning for. That client meant to you growth. It meant we're moving forward. It meant we're getting money. It meant you can start to pay yourself. And over time, you've attributed a different meaning to that client, which is they're taking up all my time, they're depriving me of cash, they're preventing me from dealing with my family, they're doing all of these things. It's the same person, but you've attributed a different meaning. Now, what's happened since then, you've probably learned a new strategy for how to charge them more money, but maybe you've not implemented it yet. So you've got this new strategy, but you're still applying an old story to that person. And that's the thing that we need to change. So your meaning changes the emotion about something, and the meaning you ascribe to something that changes the emotion is then going to determine your level of motivation. Getting up at 5 a.m., how does that make you feel? What's the meaning you have about getting up at 5 a.m.? It's like, oh God, right? But what about when you have to wake up at 5 a.m. to go on holiday? All of a sudden it's a different, not a problem, is it? You wake up at 5 a.m., woo, going to the airport, gonna have some beers in a couple of hours, here we go. Same thing, same things happened, but you've ascribed a different meaning to it. That motivation gets you out of bed, gets you excited, getting you feeling very differently. It's the same 5 a.m. it's always been, but you've just given it a different meaning. And when you give it a different meaning, you get more motivation from it. When you got more motivation, the final part, what am I going to focus on? What does it mean? What am I going to do? We need to give it the right meaning in order to get the motivation so we can do what we need to do. If you're not doing the things you need to do, it's because you've either not give it the right meaning or you are blaming something. And typically when you blame something, you blame a lack of resources. What are the resources that you blame that you don't have enough of? Put them in the chat for me, please. I can't do this because I don't have enough what? Time, money, people, time, money, people, motivation, people, energy, good one. One more. Profit, belief, good. There's one more I wanted. Let me see if anyone's put it. confidence, good. The last one is knowledge. So we blame a lack of resources as to why we're not moving forward, but it's never a problem of resources. It is always an issue of resourcefulness. Resourcefulness trumps all resources. It doesn't matter what you've got a lack of. If you're focusing on that, you're focusing on what's missing. Resourcefulness is something that you always have. And resourcefulness is determined again by your meaning and by the hunger that you have for something. So we need to be hungry for it. Let me give you an example of a resourceful story. You may have heard this before, but it's a good story. So a few years ago, it was Valentine's Day on the Saturday. And in Doncaster, most restaurants are crap, right? But there's this one beautiful little restaurant in the middle of Doncaster called the Rum Rooms. And I've been telling Becky, I'm going to take you to the Rum Rooms. It's going to be beautiful. They do pigeon breast and they do all this beautiful fillet steak. It's going to be gorgeous. We're going to go there. You're going to love it, right? Telling her all about it, getting her excited. Anyway, it's Wednesday before the Saturday, before Valentine's Day. And she said to me, have you booked the table yet? And I said, no. She said, well, I'll do it. So she rang the Rum Rooms up and the owner's a guy called Ian. She got through to Ian. She says, can I book a table for Saturday? And he laughed. And he's this big Jamaican guy, big character. I could hear him laughing on the phone, right? And I thought, that's not a good sign. And he said, we've been booked up since last year for these Rum Rooms, right? You can't, no space. So she came off the phone and gave me a round of whatevers. She was not best pleased. And I said, leave it with me, I'll sort it. So anyway, it got to Friday and I'd still not rang the Rum Rooms up. I was sat in Meadow Hall car park. I rang them up and I said, hi, is that Ian? He said, yeah. I said, hi, Ian. You spoke to my wife on Wednesday. I'm ringing to see if you've got any tables have come free. He went, no. He said, I've been booked up since last year. I've got a waiting list, just absolutely no space. Really sorry. No chance at all. Come next time. I was trying to ask yourselves, how many of you stop at that point? How many of you accept it? And how many of you put the phone down? I'm looking here at Wes, Kiara, Alison, Tracy. Can I get some nods from you if you stop in at that point? Okay. So I said to him, okay, what is it a problem of? Is it a problem of tables? Because I've got a small table at home. I could bring it. We could put it in the corner. Like, we wouldn't even bother anybody. He said, no. He said, we don't have enough space. Like, it's a small restaurant upstairs. You couldn't possibly fit any more in. I said, okay, what about downstairs in the bar area? He said, it's drinking only and it's even smaller. I said, we wouldn't even need a table though. We could just sit in the, he says, no, we won't be able to fit you in there. I'm sorry. I said, okay. I said, you've got a courtyard out back. Could we sit in there? He said, it's dark. He said, you won't be able to sit out there. It's pitch black and it's February. It's freezing. You won't want to sit out there. I said, okay, how could you make it brighter and warmer? He said, well, we've got these fairy lights, I guess I could put up, and I've got a fire basket I could put you there, which would help with the light and be warm and stuff like that. I said, brilliant. What time can we come? He said, give me till 8:30 and I'll have a table for you. So I'm like, wicked. So I rang my wife up. I said, Becky, we've got a table booked for Saturday night at the Rum Room. She said, how have you managed that? And I thought, if I tell her we're sat outside, there is no chance this is happening, right? So anyway, we turned up. He had a big smile on his face when he saw us. He took us out back. He said, come and look at this. This amazing table was set up, fire going. We sat there. I felt like a celebrity, right? People came outside and said, who are you guys? Like, how have you managed to get this? Thought we're dolphin trainers or something, right? Anyway, so we sat outside and these celebrities having this amazing experience. It was wonderful. We had a wonderful night, all because I was resourceful. That's not the best part of the story. The best part is 3 months later, went back and got there. He says, let me get you both a drink. So he got us these drinks and he says, follow me. He took me outside. They'd set up this outdoor eating area that had increased their covers, the number of places they could serve, by 50%. I'm like, that's amazing. That resourceful bit of thinking had changed his mindset. It's what it leads to next, okay? A few months later, went back. It's expanded even further. And at my niece's birthday, we'd gone to the races for the day. We went there afterwards. They'd turned the entire area into an event space. There was a stage. a bar outside, singers on stage, huge dining area, massively increased the capacity of his roof, of his restaurant. Now, he may have got to that conclusion at some point himself, but I like to think that I was the spark for him by thinking resourcefully, by pushing it, okay? The reasonable person adapts themselves to the world. The unreasonable person attempts to adapt the world to themselves. Therefore, all progress is dependent upon the unreasonable person. We have to be unreasonable in wanting to move things forward. We have to become resourceful. It's the hunger that is going to make you more resourceful, and the story you tell yourself is the thing that will kill off hunger. Sorry, Edith. Yeah. The reasonable person will adapt themselves to the world. The unreasonable person will adapt the world to themselves. Therefore, all progress is dependent upon the unreasonable person. You have to be good. You have to be doing things for the right reasons. But so long as you're doing that, you will progress by being unreasonable. I'm proudly an unreasonable person. So in order to be resourceful, you have to be hungry. And the story that you tell yourself will either kill off your hunger or it will feed your hunger. So if I said to you, I need 100 grand today, can you get me 100 grand? Very few of you will be able to just pull out 100 grand and hand it over to me, right? If I said to you, one of your friends, they've been involved in an accident overseas, they need an operation today, they've not got the insurance, they need the cash, we need 100 grand by 5 p.m. today to get them through. Could you get me 100 grand? Yeah, because your meanings change for the 100 grand. You all of a sudden, you will become resourceful. You will do whatever it takes to find that £100,000. Your situation is the same, but you have changed your meaning to it. Okay. So guys, we're in the home straight now. I want you to have these breakthroughs. I want you to move things forward. I know it's tough. I know it takes time, and I know you have to be patient, but that's to prepare for the breakthrough, because the breakthrough itself is an instant thing. There's a great story I love about the Chinese bamboo plant. The Chinese bamboo plant, when you plant it, you have to feed and water and put nutrients on the ground for year one. And what happens? Nothing comes through. Not for year one, not for year two, not for year three, and not for year four. You just look like a mentalist stood there, watering this patch of ground, putting nutrients on it every single day, and nothing comes. And somewhere in the 5th year, it breaks through the ground, and within 1 week, it grows 90 feet. It grows 90 foot within 1 week because of all the preparation that you've put into it. But it's hard because you have to nurture that space. You have to put all that effort into it in order to get the breakthrough. But the breakthrough itself is an instant thing. But you have the thing that inspires the breakthrough, the things that breaks you, the thing that makes you want to have this happen, that's going to give you that hunger, is the pain. The pain is a gift. The pain that you're in is a gift, because that's the gift that makes you want to grow. A lobster is a soft, mushy creature. It grows to the extent of its shell and it gets in pain. The way that it then grows is it crawls under a rock, it sheds its shell, and it grows a new shell that it can now grow into. It has to crawl under the rock to give itself the protection because of the uncertainty it faces once it shed its shell. What we do, what I did in my life, was you hit the pain, you feel the pain, and you do things to numb the pain, or you give yourself a bullshit story as to why you're in the pain and why you're going to stay in the pain. We have to be able to shed that shell that's holding us back and grow the new one. But here's the difficulty that you guys especially face. We talked earlier about certainty. And uncertainty, and you all agreed that this was your main mode of operation, okay? That certainty was your main focus. Your success and your ability to grow is directly proportional to the amount of uncertainty you can comfortably live with. Your ability to grow is directly proportional to the amount of uncertainty you can comfortably live with. If you're not prepared to shed the shell, the old shell that's causing you the pain, then you are never going to move forward. If you're not prepared to face that uncertainty, that embarrassment, that risk, that pushback, or any of those things, then you're always going to stay where you are and in pain, and you'll find excuses. You either make a way or you make an excuse, but you will find excuses as to where you are. But I believe, guys, you are incredible people. You will never be set a challenge that you cannot break through. And if you can't break through it, you'll be able to find people who can help you. The chance of you being alive is 400 quadrillion to 1. There's a book called Born to Win. I don't believe it. I don't believe you were born to win. I believe you were born because you won. You think the very fact that you're here is incredible. You are capable of so much. The things that you have got through already in your life have been amazing. The things that you can get through those as well. And I like to think of it when I have a challenge is do what you can with what you have where you are. Take that challenge and move forward. You can do this. You can move through it. I'm just looking at my wall here. I've got a great quote from Jim Rohn, who I've really been inspired by. And he says, don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. And that's the thing I've always focused on. I don't need it to be any easier. I just need to be better to be able to go through this. Now, the whole thing here was inspired by you guys, or some of you guys, upgrading your app. There are two types of people that we get at Go Proposal. We have people who say, let's upgrade our app, or let's add more users to our app and let's see what happens. Okay. And those people are focusing on things they can't control. They're relying on luck. They're in scarcity mode. So there's people that say, let's do this and see what happens. And there are those people who say, you know what, let's increase our app so we can produce unlimited renewals. Let's get more team members in here and we're going to do whatever it takes to find the value of this, so it's never going to be a cost for us. We are going to aim to add on another £500 a month in the first month, and then we are going to grow by an additional £1,000 a month from our existing client base. We are providing our clients with incredible value. We provide them with a vital service. We are massively undercharging our clients. There is easily 10 to 20% additional revenue if we just charge for all the work that we're doing. So we're going to do whatever it takes until we get that. It might not be easy, but you know what? We're great people. We're doing it for the right reasons, and we are going to do it. And where we struggle, we're going to get help to go and do this. Which one of those people is going to succeed and which one isn't? The key thing here is that we can't be dabblers. You can't half break a piece of glass. You have to break it and go all the way through. If you're a dabbler, you're going to try it, you're going to see what happens, and you're not going to make that breakthrough. You have to be committed to burn the boats. The burn the boat stories comes from a guy called Hernandez Cortez, who came from Spain, and they were invading South America. His wife had been kidnapped, been taken hostage on this island, and they knew they had to take this final island in order to be able to get his wife back and to be able to seize the treasure. All the gold was on this island. The problem was the army he faced was significantly greater than the army he had. When they got on the island, the first thing he did was to instruct all of his men to burn the boats. They burnt their boats and removed all other options. There was no way of going back. And they went on and they succeeded. They conquered the army and they won. And I've always taken this lesson. When I was working in the prison all those years ago, they asked me to do my PGCE. So I had to do, although I had a master's degree, I had to do my teaching qualification to be able to keep teaching there. I got to all my assignments completed except for the final one. And I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I had it all laid out in the kitchen. It was a Sunday evening, I remember. And my wife came in, she said, what's going on? I had my head in my hands. I said, Beck, I just cannot bring myself to do this final assignment. He said, James, look, just get it done, because once you do that and you get your qualification, you'll always have something to fall back on. And as she walked out the kitchen, that phrase, have something to fall back on, rattled around in my head. I picked up all of my paperwork and I went outside and we had a metal bin. I chucked everything in. I lit one of my assignments on the cooker top and I threw it in and set fire to the whole lot. She came running out. She said, what on earth are you doing? I said, sweetheart, I love you, but I do not need anything to fall back on. To my mind, plan B just detracts from plan A. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to do whatever I can. I'm going to find a way. And if I can't find a way, I'm going to make a way through. Had I have taken that option and had something to fall back on when my first business failed, I may have well fallen back onto that teaching qualification and still be stuck there now. And in which case, Go Proposal would have never been existed, and we would not be having this conversation right now. I removed all other options, and I found a way, and I made a way, and I broke through. We only get so many laps of the sun, guys. You're amazing people, and I know that whatever challenges that you're facing, that you have the capability to get through. The strategies are out there. We just need the mindset and the stories and the motivation to drive through this. Thank you for listening. We've got the final task I'm just going to set you today, guys, and then we're going to wrap this up. So, final task. What one small decision could you make today that would start moving things forward for you? What one small decision could you comfortably make today that would start moving things forward for you? And what big, difficult decision could you make that would make all the difference for you? I love this. I love that you're sharing them, guys. I love this. And I do know that, Zoe, you're going to make that decision today. The thing I would encourage you all to do, guys, is I hope you're fired up. I hope you feel motivated. I hope I've been able to give my energy over to you today. The best thing you can do is whenever you're in this mindset is to take the first step now, whatever that step may be, whether it's to email a member of your team and book something into the diary, whether it's to go and buy that book, Atomic Habits. The people that want to go for my April challenge, where I'm going to help you to add a 300 quid a month on recurring revenue onto your business. If you're on a solo plan or a starter plan now, you need to upgrade. So that's a very simple action that you can take while you're fired up. Take that action and move over, and I'll get you into that group, and we'll make sure that Go Proposal is never a cost for you. The other thing is, if you're on a standard plan, but you don't feel you're using it enough and you want to join the April challenge as well, then you just have to let me know personally, and I will get you in that. I want to help you. I'm going to grab you, and we're going to smash through whatever it is that's hanging in your way, guys, and we're going to move forward. I'm so grateful for you all for giving up this time for yourselves today, but also to listen to me and to believe that I can help you to do this. Like I say, you're incredible people. And the thing that I know about you, because of how many I've spoken to, is that you care so much. You're so caring, you're good people, and you're doing the right things. If you've not written down that as one of your most empowering things that you have, one of the greatest gifts that you've got, man, that is the thing that will smash through any challenge in your way. So I'm so grateful for you being here, guys. I'm just going to unmute you all. If I can figure out how to do this. 1 second. I'm going to do a final unmuting of you all. If you can just unmute yourself, please. If you've got kids in the background, that's fine now. I've stopped my foul language. And I just want you all to give yourselves a huge round of applause for today, guys. Well done, everyone. Woo! Yeah!